Hello there. Welcome to this special edition for the Wholehearted Collective. For you educators out there, you are in for a treat today because we have a guest speaker. Jen Uschold is here today. And Jen is a 1991 graduate from the University of Scranton in Pennsylvania. She has worked in multiple treatment environments, including travel physical therapy. She settled into an outpatient focus for the past 20 years. Her approach with patients has been strongly influenced by the Institute of Physical Art and the International Spine and Pain Institute, now Evidence in Motion. In addition to physical therapy, Jen integrates wellness coaching into most sessions, as she is also a master certified wellness coach. In good company here, Jen. We're excited to have you. Jen loves teaching and has been doing so since 1998. She has taught with Rehab Connections in Chicago, the Jackson Clinics in Virginia, and has been adjunct faculty with the Institute of Physical Art based in Colorado. She's thrilled to be part of the Evidence in Motion teaching team, as well as serving as the program director for the new certification in lifestyle medicine at Evidence in Motion. Jen has owned a small private practice since 2007. Outside of physical therapy, Jen is a passionate mom to 3 busy kids. So thank you, Jen, for being here and speaking to our community. Super excited to have you.
I am very excited to be here too. Any chance I get to get this message out so people can help themselves and learn, I am happy to participate in.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited because, obviously in the work that I do with Constant Love and Learning and supporting educators, and then also with my own history of the opposite of wellness and well-being, lots of, chronic illness and my own autoimmune stuff, which is a journey. It's a lifelong journey. It's been really clear to me that there's a lot of need for support so that chronic health issues don't take over people's lives in the field of education. And it feels though like it's actually a really common occurrence, both in terms of just anecdotally what I see in educators, that there's a lot of chronic health things that can manifest, and some good research around the fact that educators can have higher rates of these kinds of things. And in my own community, there's been, when I ask what's going on for folks, pain is one thing that people had mentioned that they're struggling with. And so knowing you, I'm just so excited for you to be here and share your wisdom today. And to get us started, I would love to hear a little bit about your story and how you came to this work.
Sure. Well, you kind of gave a brief overview of my work history. And so, yes, I've zoomed fast forward. I'm in a small private practice, but now I'm really integrating more speaking and the lifestyle medicine as well. I actually went to PT school and I did not want to be a physical therapist. I have 2 sisters who are physical therapists, and I was like, well, I guess I'll do that. And my original plan was to get a PT degree in athletic training and then work in corporate wellness. I quickly realized that was not the right atmosphere for me. And I really fell in love with PT while I was doing my clinicals. So way back in 1990, 1991, I decided PT was the place for me. And the health and wellness coaching came along in about 2014. And I had a client who had said something. He's like, I just want you to come home with me and you can be my coach. And I was like, don't think my kids would be too happy about that. But it kind of sounded like a really good compliment to physical therapy. So I did that. And then I'm very excited to have been in the first exam and cohort for a national board certification in health and wellness coaching. So that was in 2017. And I also then stumbled into pain science probably around the same time. I was self-taught for a few years, and then I got exposed to a 6-month program, therapeutic pain specialist program. And I was like, I am all in. And then it absolutely blew my mind. And I ended up then pursuing an 18-month pain science fellowship. And now I'm teaching with that group. And from there, it grew into the lifestyle medicine. And we'll talk a little bit more about the differences between those two as we go.
Yeah. So, well, we're excited to get all of your different pockets of expertise here today. And so I'm curious, for our community of educators, what do you see as the most important things that educators could do to alleviate pain?
Yes. So the answer is actually the same for educators as it is for anyone. And we have learned so much about the way pain works in the last 20 or 30 years, largely because we now have access to functional MRIs and PET scans and all these fancy machines. So we can actually see what's happening in the brain when people are experiencing pain. And within all of these tools, we do have kind of a gangbuster combination of understanding pain and exercise. We've done research on just educating people about pain, which is so very important. But if we then combine that with exercise, because the increase in heart rate and increase in blood flow helps to calm nerves down, it is actually those two things that can really start to make a difference. Many other spindles to consider, but if time and concise is where it's at, learn about pain, how it really works, and then start to get some exercise.
Awesome. So tell me more about, because what you just right beforehand, what you mentioned, the difference between pain and lifestyle medicine. And so tell me a little bit about the differences or how they overlap or what people need to know before we dig into some of that information about pain. Tell me so I'm clear on that.
Sure. I think that's exactly how I ended up with the program director job for lifestyle medicine. Is while I was going through the pain science fellowship, we have four main pillars for pain science, and those are education, exercise, goals, and sleep. We know that these are very well researched as helping to calm down an elevated nervous system. And so then when I was going through the fellowship and we were looking at all of these other evidence-based ways that we can help people with pain, it just dawned on me. I'm like, none of these things are any different than what we can do for ourselves on a day-to-day basis. It just may be that we need to do a little bit more of one in this manner or another. And I like to describe it to my clients as everybody knows we need to drink water every day. Everybody knows we need to get sleep and rest. However, when you have a cold, you need to up your water. When you have a cold, you may need to up your rest. So it's where are you in your current health continuum? And then what are the tools that are going to best help you? Whether that's pain or lifestyle medicine it's 6 different areas. I usually miss one, but let's see, we've got stress and exercise and nutrition and avoiding risky substances such as alcohol and tobacco. And then we have sleep and socialization. I got all 6. Woo. So we have good research that attending to all of these different things can actually address 80% of lifestyle related diseases. We can not only prevent them, we can also treat them and sometimes reverse them. Cancer, surprisingly, is a lifestyle related disease. Type 2 diabetes, very much a lifestyle related disease, and then many more things from there. So the blend of pain science with the lifestyle medicine, I can't even really separate them out anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Got so many questions. I'm going to start with, because when you also were talking about the pain supporting in terms of pain, you talked about education and exercise being key. First of all, invitation for anybody watching to be moving. Move your body while you're watching. You don't have to stay still and do that. So stand up, stretch, do whatever you got to do while you listen. So that's just giving you permission to do that. In terms of the education though, what do we need to know about pain? What could be helpful to help people in navigating whatever pain's coming up for them? I know a lot of people complain of headaches, back pain, shoulder pain, all those kinds of things. So what can people know about to help them?
Can I tell a story about pain? And
Totally.
this is exactly how I do it with clients.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I often have pictures, but I don't have pictures today. But just sit back for a moment and just consider, Katie, I will ask the questions to you as if you're my client. Katie, if you were to step on a nail today, would you want to know about it?
Would I want to know about the nail or the pain?
Would you want to know that you stepped on a rusty nail?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Why, why might you want to know?
I would want to know what I could do to alleviate any potential problems or prevent them from happening. And I would also want to know what the risks were. I would want to know, yeah, those are, so I would just want to know how to like treat anything current that could occur and then also prevent it for the future. Yeah.
Take it out, clear nails out of the area, make sure tetanus is up to date. Absolutely. And so you know there's a nail in your foot because you feel pain, right?
Yep.
How do we get that experience of pain? So then I show them a different picture and I show them a picture of the human body. Well, here you are. You are made up of 400 nerves and they're about 45 miles in length. Now, where I live, it's about 45 miles to Baltimore. So I often just am a goof with my clients and I say, if we laid you end to end, we could get you all the way to Baltimore. All of these nerves are connected like one big highway system. So then I will tell them that all of our nerves have a little bit of electricity running through them. And I do have one picture I want to show. So let's see if it shows up. I made it very colorful because you are teachers. And we have all of these little bit of electricity in all of our nerves. Now, we describe our nervous system as like a very high-tech alarm. When you step on the nail and we cross this threshold, that's when someone will feel pain. So stepping on the nail is just the initiation of the alarm system. It hasn't gone off per se yet. It jumps on information, a danger message. We don't have pain sensors. We don't have pain nerves, but we have danger messages. It has a fancier word. We won't worry about that. And then it goes up to the spinal cord and then up to the brain. And the brain says, hey, Katie, you stepped on the nail. Could you get your foot off and clean it, please? So then I think we can all agree that, Katie, your foot might be sore for a few days after you stepped on the nail, correct? This is a completely normal response of the nervous system. It always takes longer to calm down than it does to ramp up. And I like the example of, thank God we don't have to wait 3 days to know that we've put our hand on a hot stove. So if we go back to that nail idea, the nail is giving you information, right? And pain actually is protection. Have you ever considered pain as being protection?
Not necessarily. I think, I mean, in life, sometimes we think of certain events as I do, as messages, but I don't know if as much as pain. So yeah.
Yeah, pain is information and your brain is getting your attention and it wants you to take action. So the problem is that in about 1 in 4 people, the nervous system doesn't ever calm back down to its baseline. And so that looks a bit more like this, where we have the line up here. Now, you can see in my first picture, we have so much wiggle room to do everything you want to do, your activities, hanging out with your own kids, your students, etc. But can you see that if we have a nervous system that's at this higher level, there's much less room for us to do the things we want to do. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You have any questions on that?
Not per se questions, but I was just thinking about all the people, me included, like when you get into that sort of, that wiggly line goes up higher, why people have so much more pain when they're in certain situations, or yeah. So it just explains a lot of what is happening. So it's interesting.
So that's great. I'm glad that you brought that up because then the story kind of transitions from there. As another way to understand it is if we think about an alarm on your house, and we would want that alarm to go off if a brick goes through the window. I think we can agree on that. Now, if we have something happen to our alarm system and the sensitivity of our alarm system changes and the alarm goes off if a leaf hits the window, do we want that?
Hopefully not.
No. And we're going to have our alarm going off all the time. However, our house is okay, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just the sensitivity of the alarm. So often our physical bodies are okay. It is the sensitivity of our nervous system and our alarm that is creating these persistent experiences of pain. So this is often then followed by, well, why did my alarm system stay elevated? And, Sally down the street, she doesn't have these problems, etc. So then I bring out a picture, and it's actually well-researched information. We call them yellow flags. Yellow flags are things that are going on in people's lives that have the potential to elevate the sensitivity of the nervous system. And the closer we get to that threshold, the more likely we are to have that alarm switch get tripped. COVID is clearly a yellow flag for all of us. And it's probably maybe, I don't know, 3, 5, 7 yellow flags for educators. It's been very difficult. I don't need to tell any of you. And so then other things are family stresses, being told different things. Clients get told it's tendonitis, and then they get told it's scoliosis, and they just get told all this different information, which in and of itself could raise the sensitivity of the nervous system. Financial worry is a problem. And if I have clients with financial issues, I'm like, I don't want to be your yellow flag. Let's see what we can work out. So there's all different types of things that can then raise the sensitivity of the nervous system. So we start to see that it becomes less about the health of the tissues and more about the sensitivity of the nervous system. And then this helps to direct where we're going to go with treatment. So that is my alarm story as how the nervous system works.
So in terms of the sensitivity and then how the nervous system's working, I imagine, like you said, there's a lot of yellow flags for educators with COVID. And then all the other things. I know that, like what you were describing, I know for me, even when you get those diagnoses from the doctor, oh, you've got this autoimmune disease. While there's good knowledge, it does add this heightened level of, oh my gosh. And then now you're on even more high alert because of those things. But then
Exactly.
even within schools, like you said, there's a lot of layers to the COVID. And then even pre-COVID, educators just had a lot of yellow flags, I think, in schools in terms of things. So how, I don't know if this is the right way to ask it and in terms of what I'm thinking, but how do people work with the nervous system to reduce that sensitivity level, even in the midst of external stressors that are present? Like, what's your recommendations for top tools, top things that people can do, even in the midst of stressful pandemics or the like? What could people do to sort of downregulate that sensitivity response?
Yeah. So it's so very important that people understand pain enough to understand what they can do about it. And it's no different than if I were to walk into a kindergarten classroom today, I would be in really big trouble because I do not have that knowledge base. And if you and I were to switch roles today, Katie, and you are going to have to talk about pain science, do you think that might be a little stressful, maybe a little anxiety producing?
Totally.
This is what can happen. Exactly. So, but when you gain the knowledge about said topic, whether it's, I don't know, astronomy or teaching kindergarten or being a coffee barista, then the nervous system is able to calm beautifully. So understanding pain is key. And I don't know if you have access to give show notes or whatever it is, but I could actually send you a couple of quick 5-minute videos that are really good just to start that process. I will give a couple recommendations for a couple of easy books that are easy to read, and then following up with questions. Like I do that story with most of my clients, and then their homework assignment is tell this story to a family member or a friend, see what questions you have, and come back so we can reinforce and then continue the learning. And then the second thing from there is, I would say, again, the exercise is key. We know that a moderate raise in heart rate, which isn't that much, a brisk walk, even around the school, up and down the stairs a few times, is enough to get blood flow going so that the nerves calm down. There are 3 things that nerves rely on to be in their happy, calm state, and that is space, just space to move, not getting squished, movement, and blood flow. About 25% of our blood is for our nervous system, yet it only takes up about 2 to 3% of our body weight. So movement and knowledge are super important. Now, if we have like an emergent situation going on and we're like too rattled to think, too rattled to do anything, slow, deep exhales can help calm the nervous system as well. We can't have an elevated heart rate if we have a slower, calmer breath. And that slow exhale actually helps to lessen the heart rate as well.
Awesome. And are there any other things in terms of that knowledge base? Again, telling everyone else, keep moving out there, keep your body moving while you're listening. Anything else in terms of the knowledge that would be like a good foundational things for them to know, that anything we've missed so far that to know about pain to help them with this capacity to then reduce, to help them reducing that sensitivity? Any top ones?
I think it is so important to understand how other things in our lives can influence the sensitivity of that nervous system. So we had briefly talked about the danger sensors, but we have other sensors in our body as well. We have many of them, but we have sensors that respond to movement. They respond to temperature and stress and different things like that. And an example, we've all experienced it. When we go outside and it is 10 degrees and we have no jacket and shorts and a t-shirt on, we will feel
very cold.
Cold, right? So again, just like stepping on the nail, it's information. So if you feel cold, what are you going to do?
Go right back inside and bundle up with some clothes before I go back out.
So you got the information, you got the memo, and you did something about it. So your temperature sensors did exactly what they needed to do. So let's now think about, I guess, depending on where people live. And in Virginia, that very, very first warm day in March, when it's 50 degrees, feels really, really warm. But that first 50-degree day in September feels really, really cold. Well, 50 degrees is 50 degrees, right? What happens is that we have all of these different sensors, and the brain evaluates every 48 hours what the ratio is of which particular sensor we need. So that first very cold day in September, our temperature sensors have not adjusted to that yet. So they will, and then we're good to go. So I say this particularly for your audience because we have stress sensors and they respond to stress. So if the brain has decided we have an upcoming PowerPoint presentation, we have an upcoming stressful parent meeting, we may have more stress sensors. If we have an imbalance and we have more of one particular sensor, we are more sensitive to that input. So in that case, stress in and of itself may be enough to trip the alarm. A temperature change in and of itself may be enough to trip the alarm. So I think going back to your original question, the awareness that things in our lives and our environment are enough to trip that switch are important to recognize. And sometimes the recognition alone is enough to calm it down.
Which is very doable, just to recognize it. Yeah, and that's something we definitely work on in our community, is just to have the awareness of things like stress or what's going on. So that's good news for everyone in our community, that we're practicing those things. What other tips do you have in terms of, for my community, and this is true for beyond educators, but educators in particular have a lot on their plates, both in terms of at school, but often also they have their own families. And so they have a lot on their plates at lots of different places. And so like one of the number one things people will tell me is they don't have enough time. And we work on the mindset around that sort of thing. But, given some actual, tangible constraints in terms of that, what do you recommend for your top tips for people to be able to integrate things with exercise, with knowledge, with whatever, for people who say, I don't have time to do some of these things to take care of myself. I'm in pain, but I don't have time to like, just give me a pill, let me take some ibuprofen or whatever. So what would you say in terms of, even if you don't feel like you have time, here are some things that you could readily, easily integrate into your days that wouldn't also add to the trip? Like you had mentioned earlier, you said, if you feel like you're the yellow flag because of financials or whatever, we have to figure out how to this is my words, my interpretation of what you said, but take away that yellow flag. So if we were to take away the yellow flag of not enoughness of time, what would you recommend?
Yeah. So I just posted on LinkedIn. I saw this great phrase. If you don't take time for your wellness, you'll be forced to take time for your illness.
Yeah.
That's a little bit off topic and a little bold and blatant, but it is true.
Yeah.
However, I love this question because several years ago, I had a client and she's like, yeah, I'm not going to exercise for 30 minutes. And I was like, all right. I'm like, what would you think about 15 minutes? She's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. We kept going down, down, down. I get to 5 minutes. No, I'm not going to do it 5 minutes. I'm like, hey, would you do 1 minute of exercise? She's like, yeah, I'll do a minute of exercise. I'm like, great. So that's where she started. She started with 1 minute of exercise. And then, that became, is that 1 minute of breathing? Is that 1 minute of cleaning up a room that's driving you nuts because it's cluttered? Is it 1 minute of food prep to get your kids' lunches ready? Whatever it is, most of us can find a minute. And then we find that 1 minute turns into 2, turns into 10. And it's much more manageable to do it in these little bites. And interestingly enough, it was in that day that we created something called 1 Minute Me. And I'm now in the process of creating an app where there's going to be options for hopefully dozens and dozens and maybe hundreds of 1 minute options for people to understand how they can make a change in their life, starting with a minute.
That's fantastic. I love it. I love that phrase, and I'm excited to check out the app once it's ready. And that leads us perfectly to my next question, which is really about what services do you offer and how can people find you?
All right. I am a physical therapist. And so I do traditional, although I'm not a traditional physical therapist. I also, I integrate pain science into just about everything I do. And then I do some one-on-one coaching. I don't do a lot of exclusive coaching, but coaching is an integral part of how I work with my clients in the physical therapy visits. I'm a lifestyle medicine coach. So I am just constantly integrating the lifestyle medicine and the coaching and the pain science in mostly physical therapy. I am hoping to start doing group coaching type things in the near future, but we have to stay tuned for that.
Cool. Awesome. And how can folks find you if they would like to connect?
Yeah, probably the easiest is I don't mind getting a phone call or an email. I do have a website. My website is 180therapyandwellness.com. The and is spelled out. And then my email is jen@delorenzo, DeLorenzo.pt.com. And yes, that's a different last name, but that's a different story. And then my phone number is 703-859-3415.
Awesome. Well, I know that I am super grateful to have found you. Shout out to another Jen who may be watching, another Jen for connecting us in our community. And also just gratitude for you sharing this information, because I really want to make sure that we empower educators to really reclaim their health and their wellness and be able to really have the physical body and physical wellness and emotional as well, so that they can continue to tap into their gifts and share their beautiful gifts to the world and make the difference that they're meant to make. So I'm so grateful for you being here. And
thank you.
Thank you. And for those of you watching, may you be well.